am here again. It is Thais, living and seeing, chatting about metaphysical topics. So, I just wanted to do a book spotlight on the book I just finished reading, which is Stuart Wilde, Infinite Self, 33 Steps to Reclaiming Your Inner Power. So, it took me about a month to read this book because I really wanted to digest it. I was just reading one chapter a day. When I read like metaphysical, new age, self-help books, I like to really digest the book. It's not like reading a novel where you just, want to get to the juicy part and hurry up and finish the book. But, when I read books like these, I like to read it and then just meditate upon what I read for that day. So this book is like a average size book. It isn't small, it isn't big. It's only like 224 pages long, and it has 33 chapters. Each chapter is a different step, as he called it. 33 steps to reclaiming your inner power. So this book is based upon the Taoism teachings, transcending the ego. It's very spiritual and metaphysical in nature. So this book doesn't have a religious undertone. It is like super metaphysical. He do mention the word God here and there, but in the first chapter, he really does break down, the inner meaning of God. And you can see it in the first chapter where it is called, what's the name of the first chapter? The first chapter is called I Am God. So he really wanted to make it clear when he mentioned the word God or God, what he's referring to. He's referring to the inner energy that we all are. So I just wanted to make it clear because I know some people who are like into metaphysics and new age, they don't like when books have religious undertone. Me personally, I don't really mind it because I understand it from a different level. But just wanted to put that out there. So like I mentioned, each chapter is a different step to reclaiming your inner power or transcending the ego, becoming more spiritual in a sense. And the steps he provides are really practical and easy to understand. Like, they are really day-to-day easy things you can do and easy concept you can understand. There's nothing like complicated or really difficult about the steps in a sense, and the steps are really geared towards Taoism. If you're familiar with Tao, then you really have an understanding of what this book is about, because he basically, the author Stuart Wilde, he's a late metaphysical teacher. He transitioned recently. It was like less than 10 years ago he made his transition, and he's been teaching up until his transition. And he taught metaphysics, and what started his journey was that he was a very successful, affluent guy, but he wanted more out of life. He wanted to go in deeper, so he walked away from everything. He explained it at the beginning of the book, how he walked away from his Rolls Royce and his luxury condo in London, and he just left his apartment and went on this spiritual journey to discover more about his inner being and becoming more in tune with his true self. So everything he learned on that journey is what he shares in this book, and like I said, they're really easy to understand. So what I love about this book, well, basically I actually love this book. It's like so good from beginning to end. Each step, each chapter is just spot on. Each chapter is just so amazing. Like, every time I read a chapter, I just get so amped, and I make sure I read the chapters like first thing in the morning because it just boosts my vibration and just give me that amp I need to get through my day. And they're just so juicy, guys. Like, if you love metaphysics and love spirituality and things like that, you would really love this book. Like, it is so good. One of the chapters, let me open to a random chapter. This is step 12, where it says your word as law. And basically in this chapter, he's talking about, respecting your word and realizing how powerful your words are, and adhering to your words also. Whatever you say you're going to do, make sure you do it, because your word is law. And be careful how you use your word, because your word is also law in a sense where you create with your word as well. So you should treat it as such. That chapter was really, really good. And then, ooh, this one was good. Like, the masters were supernatural because others were not. He's talking about like the old age teachers, like the Buddha and the Jesus and the Muhammad, how people used to worship them back in the day, because you know, the planet wasn't as evolved as it is right now. So they were like really heightened in their consciousness, so people felt the need to worship them instead of listening to what they were teaching and realizing that they too can become as great and powerful, and they too possess that super consciousness they were exuding back then. And instead, you know, people worship them, even though today people still worship them, but it's a bit different. I feel like the planet is becoming more and more conscious anyways. So yeah, this book is just all about, if you want to grow spiritually, then I truly recommend this book. It's a really, really deep spiritual book to take you to the next level in your consciousness. Everything from what judgment do, from having mental discipline, to trusting your spirit as your guide, to changing your beliefs and realizing how your belief patterns were formed. It's just there. So he really aids in a sense of deepening your spirituality, really realizing what your inner being is, and living from that space of knowing you are spiritual rather than living from a place of being this human, this small human on earth, but realizing how big and powerful you are as spirit. This would definitely be 5 stars. It was so good from beginning to end, guys. And this book was purchased on Amazon. That's where you can find it. Like, Amazon has everything. Basically, we live in such a great age right now where everything is just accessible. So another cool thing is that Deepak Chopra actually did the foreword for this book. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Deepak Chopra, but he's also another New Age teacher. And he says, with profound brilliance and humorous irreverence, Stuart Wilde choreographs the mysteries of life into a series of practical steps we can use and master ourselves. Oh, let me just read the back, give you the preview of what the back said. The back says, answer the call of your infinite self. In Infinite Self, Stuart Wilde, one of the most profound and original thinkers of our time, shows you how to consolidate your inherent power and transcend all limitations by releasing yourself from the constraints of the ego. The simple yet powerful concepts contained in this revolutionary book will take you from the world of ego, superficiality, and illusion to the higher spirituality of your infinite self. And then there's one of the 33 steps to reclaiming your inner power. So this is step 19. The power rises from within. The harder you try, the harder you struggle. It's wiser to let things come naturally. The power you have is like a magnetic force. You can pull to you whatever you want. In pushing, you tend to move things away from you. So yeah, that was just a quick example of one of the steps that was in the back of this book. Like they said, author and lecturer Stuart Wilde, he's very humorous. There are a few, it has a really humorous undertones in some of the chapters. So if you are like more of like a serious spiritual person and you're really serious, I hope you don't get offended if you get the book. It's really, he's very humorous. He's a humorous guy. I listened to a few of his lectures on YouTube, and he always has that humor, and he says the most funniest things. It's so funny. But yeah, that was my quick book spotlight on The Infinite Self by Stuart Wilde. I hope that you guys enjoyed this book if you decide to get it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Happy manifesting. Bye bye, guys.